So is everybody ready for some great entertainment?
Yeah.
So our first musician and songwriter is Rita Vienneau. Vienneau. In 2017, Rita was interviewed in Israel by NOGA, the Ottawa Messianic Fellowship. This interview was aired in Bethlehem. Rita has written over 150 songs and some 50 poems. In 2009, she recorded 4 songs which were played on the radio in Israel with about 100 different countries tuning in. These songs will be available for purchase during intermission and after the show. Please welcome to the stage, Rita Vienneau.
Good evening, everyone. I have my friend Janet here, Janet Baker. She is a very busy lady, yet she spent a lot of time with me, giving me suggestions, helping me practice and these songs. She's never heard, 5 of these songs she'd never heard before. So, and I only play by ear, so it was a lot of extra work for her. So I'm so grateful to Janet. So these are songs that the Lord has downloaded to me over the years. And the first one is called I Wept at Jesus' Feet. And I was watching the movie Jesus of Nazareth, and they had Mary Magdalene there, and she was at the feeding of the 5,000. And so when she took a bite out of the bread, it was like she had a revelation that Jesus was the way, the truth, and the bread of life. I saw him from a distance, heard of his good deeds, heard him preaching, saw him healing, had a taste of miracle bread. And I wept at Jesus' feet, and I turned away from sin. I dried his feet with my hair, I gave to him all of my cares. My tears washed the dust away that was on his feet that day. I anointed them, blessed them, worshipped him with all my heart. I felt sinking in the water after having walked on the water. And so the beginning of the song is about him, and then later it's a word for all of us, for the body of Christ. Lift me up, I'm sinking. Lift me up, I'm sinking. I walked on water for a minute, but right now I'm sinking. You gave me faith as big as a mustard seed, but now it's your mighty arm I need. Lift me up, lift me up, I'm sinking. Waves are monstrous, the sky is still black, but I know you'll help, won't turn your back. You are the truth, the life in the way. You'll come through for us, come what may. Praise God, we're rising, not sinking, rising. We're walking on water forever, rising. You gave us faith as big as a mustard seed. Now we feel your victory. Praise God, praise God, finally rising. Through the trials of life you hold us up. When cold and empty you fill our cup. You are able to give us your power, and it's needed every hour. You're so faithful in your word. We stand on all we've heard. It does not return to you empty. We magnify and give you all the glory. Praise God, we're rising, not sinking, rising. We're walking on water forever, rising. You gave us faith as big as a mustard seed. Now we feel we're conquering indeed. Praise God, you lift us up. No more sinking.
Thank you, Rita and Janet. Our next performer is A.J. Mittendorf. He was a former professor at the College of New Caledonia in Prince George, where he taught university level literature and composition courses. As a writer, A.J. has 4 books on the market, 2 of which are poetry. One is a collection of short biographic stories, and the last is on English trivia. All books are available for purchase tonight, and if we run out, we may order more copies. He has also had 3 stories aired on the Vinyl Cafe with Stuart McLean. As a musician, A.J. studied with world-renowned bassist Gary Carr, and even arranged 2 pieces from pictures at the exhibition for Mr. Carr and his students to play in Victoria in 2015. As an actor, A.J. likes to present poetry, his own or poetry from other writers, as a small work of drama, and as you will see this tonight. A.J. will be playing what is called, I call, a violin on steroids. He calls it a double bass. But when they're alone together, he calls her Grace. It's appropriate for playing in the church. So please welcome to the stage, Mr. A.J. Mittendorf.
As you can see, I walk with a peculiar gait. Actually, I just wanted to make a grand entrance. After all, there's a lot hinging on this event tonight, and I didn't want to lead you down the garden path. This is my friend Grace. She's not a girlfriend. She already has a beau. I must confess that tonight I received a very special request, but I'm going to sing anyway. We're singing your song. La 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 la. And we're happy to say it's going strong. La 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 la. Today the Shag and the Charleston are gone. So's the varsity drag, but like the Maple Leaf rag, the entertainer goes on and goes on. Back in the olden days, they called them golden days, way before the birth of rock and roll, there was a music man who had piano hands and lots of syncopation in his soul. They came from miles around, from every state and town. How they loved to hear Scott Joplin play. And that's why even though he died a long time ago, his music lives until this day. La 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 la. Hey, Mr. Joplin, we're singing your song. La 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 la. And we're happy to say it's going strong. La 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 la. The entertainer's so old it sounds new, way ahead of its time, it's only reaching its prime, and we're just adding a rhyme about you. Listen to the beat, it's lasted generations, listen to the beat, and catch the syncopation once a million feet. We're feeling new vibrations all across this land. Back in 1904, his style was something new, then people yelled for more. And he would sock it to them night after night, he would give them his all on every tune. step strutters fall. La 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 la. Hey, Mr. Joplin, we're singing your song. La 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 la. And we're happy to say it's going strong. La 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 la. Today the Shag and the Charleston are gone. So's the varsity drag, but like the maple leaf rag, the entertainer goes on and goes on. Yes, we'll sing it again, we'll sing it over again, and we'll be singing it anytime strong. Actually, I hate to say this, but I'm falling apart up here. Technology is a wonderful thing, usually. Am I working? Yes. Okay. There we are. So, for the next couple of songs that I'm going to be playing, I'm going to be doing music that inspired the poems in this book here, Carnival of the Animals. Camille Saint-Saëns, a composer, French composer, who died in 1921, wrote a series of tales based on animals, and each animal was used to represent a different animal. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the music that Camille Saint-Saëns wrote, and then I'm going to recite for you the poem that I wrote that was inspired by this music. And I'm going to be assisted by Sariana, who's going to help me hold my bass so that I don't have to keep setting it down, picking it up, setting it down, picking it up, setting it down, like things like that. So, I'm also going to welcome Cassidy to the stage, to the piano anyway. We'll start with the Tortoise. So I'm going to start, I'm going to make another confession actually. That music, the poem that I'm going to read is inspired by that music. Anybody recognize the tune by any chance? The Can-Can. Yes, exactly. what Saint-Saëns did was to demonstrate a slow animal was to take something very fast and very high and slow it down. Okay? So that's how he demonstrated a slow tortoise, pardon me. So the poem was in fact inspired by that music, but it was also inspired by a comedian that I saw on TV back in the 80s. And this routine has always, it's just stuck with me, almost unfortunately, although it did help in this case. But what this comedian did was he started singing a song. And I can't believe I'm doing this again. It went like this. Waiting can sometimes be a lot of fun. But not always. So this is the Tortoise poem by A.J. Mittendorf. With careful, cautious, slogging steps, the tortoise made his way down Summit Hill to the waterhole. The hare would not delay. "Wanna race, wanna race, wanna race?" asked Hare while hopping to and fro. "Come on, I'll race with both eyes shut." The tortoise answered, "No." And so the hare ran on ahead and vanished behind a knoll. The tortoise heard him shriek in pain a distance from his goal. At length, the tortoise passed that knoll and met a cheetah there, reposed and picking from his teeth the remnants of the hare. "A lovely day," the cheetah said. "My name is Nevid, friend." "Eugene," he answered, plodding on, not wanting to offend. "Of course, Eugene, you understand that had I not just fed, right now you would already be this cheetah's daily bread." "Indeed," Eugene said, and Neville added, "though with you there's not a lot of challenge. The fact is, you're too slow, yes." Eugene broke off his hike to speak. "It's even as you said. If I had been a challenge to you, I'd be already dead. Consider now our friend, the hare, and while it may seem crass, despite his speed, what's left of him is little more than gas. I've been called slow in every tongue since time that we call ancient. It's time creation understands. I am not slow. I'm patient. So the next one is the elephant. I am not going to complain about the sunshine. I refuse to complain about the sunshine. However, I am really warm up here. Okay. The elephant. So the poem that was inspired that music actually came when I was studying with Gary Carr. He's the manager of this summer course that he was teaching with some 18 double bass players. Her name is Sarah Klein. She pulled me aside and she advised me. She said, if you're going to interpret a piece of music, doesn't matter what kind of music, you have to have a story with it. And so, given that, essentially she inspired the elephant. That came out wrong. She didn't inspire the elephant herself, but what she said, her advice, inspired the elephant. And so the story of the elephant comes from the point where you hear the bass going, la, da, 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 bum, bum. That's where it is. In that case, the main elephant, whose name is Toscanini, is trying to impress a young woman by trying to reach the higher, more juicy leaves on the tree. So that is the inspiration for the elephant. I should add that it does remind me of one of my first dates. A very long time ago, I prepared for a girl a candlelight dinner. I was really undercooked. Candlelight dinner. There we go. This is The Elephant by A.J. Mittendorf. Toscanini was no ordinary elephant, but an ancient, hurly-burly elephant. He had two enormous tusks that started right up here and curled around to distant points way far over there. For an elephant, he stood distinguished, proud and grand. No beast dared to challenge his authority on that. Even so, this lordly elephant was kind and gentle. Often was his giant heart considered monumental. Other times, less frequent times, he thought himself almighty, marching through the grassy fields so as not to be taken lightly. One such day as this, when he was trying to enchant with his strength and stature one of many a Sheelaphant, he, with all the shaking of the ground that he could muster, and sun shining on his tusks to flash his lofty luster, marched himself right through his herd, shook his awesome head, flapped his giant ears, stretched his massive trunk, and said, I can grasp the juicy leaves, the finest from this tree. It's the tallest of the savannah, as far as I can see. All the finest leaves around are growing at the top. You can share a meal with me. Just watch the branches drop. From where he alone could reach, he plucked a branch of green. The ladies stood and pulled up grass as though they hadn't seen. Toscanini marveled that the others didn't jump. Well, he'd have to look for branches even higher and more plump. Reaching up his trunk again and standing tippy-toe, pushing forth with all his might as high as he could go, "Huh!" he yelled. "Success at last! Look, ladies, what I've done!" No one looked impressed, but turned away one by one. Then a cow, who knew him well, shook her head and sighed. I enjoy him so much more, she started to confide, when he loves himself much less and loves his herd instead. Even massive hearts like his are easily misled. Either they are filled with self with room for not one more, or they're packed with pachyderms to honor and adore. When he saw that no one cared, Toscanini slumped down the hill and to the pond, both angry and most stumped. What's their problem? Why are they all acting like a turd? Don't they know that everything I do is for the herd? I'm the one that keeps them safe. I'm the one who stands sentry. I'm the one who keeps migration swift and elementary. They should all respect me more. It's me who wears the crown. As he sat and washed his face and hosed his body down, no great insight changed his heart, but he'll soon come around. Once he understands it all, I most surely bet he will practice all he learns and never shall forget. Next one, the swan. told my stage assistant too soon to have a seat. I shouldn't have done that. So my apologies. But Sarah Anna, thank you very much. She will be back later on, ladies and gentlemen. Can we give her a hand? Stage and okay, I won't improvise any more jokes. Wow. When I was studying with Gary Carr in Victoria, that was one of the best times of my life. I so enjoyed it. But at the concert, for some reason, just before the concert, all the bass players except me had disappeared. And Gary comes up to me and he says, AJ, I've got 18 bass players around here somewhere. Can you round them up for me? And I said, sure, 20. Thank you for enjoying that one. That's one of my favorites. This is the swan. A swan sailed sadly on the lake. He watched his image in the wake of every tiny tear that rolled and dropped. They used to call me Ugly Duckling, he recollected, almost chuckling. But even in my elegance I flopped. I wish that I could go ashore and walk around on a quick explorer without the others giggling at the sight. When I'm on land, I have deduced, I waddle like I've just been goosed, or like I wear my underwear too tight. But even elephants on land, though on all fours even, they seem so grand as to inspire fear for just their size. And when they want to, on a whim, those beasts could even take a swim and still look awesome, washing off the flies. As he swam, engrossed in thought, on shore a little boy called out, "See, Mom, a silver swan swims on the tide. He looks to me like skaters do when they go skating on the blue. They fold their hands behind them as they glide. Oh, how lovely, how serene he seems. How aristocratically he beams. Please, Mama, may I keep him for a pet? I promise I'll take care of him. I'll take him for a daily swim, clean every mess he makes, and not forget. I cross my heart, I'll never lie, or wash my face with fresh cow pie." His mom made no excuse, but answered, "Ugh, no!" Aw, think how all my friends would spawn if I came home with a new pet swan. I'd have the greatest pet of all to show. The swan, though, never raised his chin to look around or listen in. But if he had, it might have changed his heart to hear his praises from a boy who took such beauty in with joy, who fancied himself viewing living art. Thank you. Very quickly, one of the books that I have for sale out front is it's a collection of short stories that are essentially dedicated to Stuart McLean. He and I had become friends prior to his passing, and I didn't deal with his passing very well at all. And he had read 3 of my stories on the air, and I felt very close to him. My daughter suggested that I write more stories and dedicate them to him, more of the kind of stories that he would have had me write for the Violent Cafe if he had run the show longer. And so I did just that. I wrote, there's a total of 55 in here, and some of them are humorous, some of them are a little bit more serious, but I'm going to read the first one to you from the book. It's also the first one that Stuart McLean read on the air. It's called Good Catch. It was the night of my 14th birthday. I'd already had as much of a party as I was expecting. There was school the next day, and even though it was only mildly late, I was tired. The only thing left to do was take a shower and go to bed. Modesty wasn't an issue at this hour. No one was around but my parents, who were watching TV, and my kid sister, who was already asleep. So I went upstairs to my room to undress. Then, wrapping a towel around my waist and holding 2 corners firmly on one side, I walked back down the stairs, through the TV room, to the stairs that led to the basement where my home's only usable shower was. While I was there, visitors came by to wish me a happy birthday. I'll catch up with you eventually. It was Mrs. May and her 14-year-old daughter, Eleanor May. Mrs. May was my mom's best friend and my music teacher. Eleanor May was going to be my wife one day, though she hadn't realized that yet. But for her birthday just 2 months earlier, I had given her one of those elegant, don't play with it, it's not a toy, porcelain dolls. It was dressed in a white satiny dress with a bonnet. A wedding dress, I decided. It wasn't, but that didn't matter. The doll had dark, shoulder-length hair, just like Eleanor May. The doll had deep brown eyes, just like Eleanor May. The doll had a soft, demure expression, just like Eleanor May. The doll was Eleanor May, dressed for our wedding. It was as much of a hint as I could muster. She didn't get it, apparently. The gift pleased Mrs. May because it had prompted her daughter to clean her room so that the doll could be properly displayed. But for Eleanor May, it was just another reason for her to bake something to give away in reciprocation. Her mom brought her over on the night of my birthday to surprise me with a large box of homemade chocolate chip cookies. They sat down in the TV room with my parents to chat. Mom and Dad had apparently forgotten about me because they never let me know that I had visitors. Not only that, but they looked just as surprised as Eleanor May and her mother did when I opened the door at the top of the stairs and stood in their presence, wearing nothing but a wet towel held about me with one hand. The room was suddenly silenced, and I noticed with horror Eleanor May sitting in a chair facing me, wearing the same stupefied expression the rest of us wore. I suppose Eleanor just didn't know what else to do to rid the room of that dumbfounded choking sensation. At least her heart was in the right place when she stood and, with forced cheer, declared, "Hey, AJ, I made you some cookies for your birthday. Here you go." She chucked the box at me. I caught it with both hands. So that is the first story in this book. We have just paperback copies out there, and I believe I can't remember if they're $24.95 or $23.95. They're one of those two. And so they're out there for sale. And I believe that concludes this set for me. So I'll ask her to come back up while I rearrange the stage.
So before Rita comes back, I want to tell you about 2 of the 3 following presentations so that they may proceed uninterrupted. The first, Rita will come back and sing 2 more of her wonderful songs. But after that, AJ will return, but not as AJ. When he comes back on stage, I want you to imagine that the year is somewhere around 1860. And that we're in southern United States, say Georgia. Yes, get Georgia on your mind. It's summer, and even though much of the day has already been spent in the fields, it is very hot and muggy. Slavery has reached its peak at this point in USA history. But 5 years from now, it would not be so. You need to understand that there were almost no written material regarding what the slaves did when they weren't at work. Yet here we have a poem written by Paul Lawrence Dunbar, who was not a slave himself, but he was an offspring of the slaves. And in one of the very few accounts of slaves during the downtime, we get to witness one of those slaves sharing the inside scoop of a party that the slaves of 5 plantations shared. Slavery is always an unspeakable offense and wrong, but Dunbar shows in his poem is that while oppressed and burdened in horrible ways, these people knew how to party. It is the poem called The Party. So now I'll ask Rita to come back up and perform.
AJ reminded me, he named his bass. I've had this guitar for almost 40 years, but I've never named her, so I have to think of a name. So I'm almost as bad as Willie Wilson, you know? Like, no, what is it? Willie Nelson. Whoever he is. All right, so in 2015, I had a vision that I was going to Israel. And so I started looking at the songs that I would write and looking for Hebrew, you know, a few Hebrew words. So the next song, Kadosh is holy, Yeshua is Jesus, HaMashiach is Messiah. Okay? And it's called The Word.
Praise the word, mighty word.
my son if he would do the music for me, and he did. This was in 2010. So I liked it so much that I translated it in English. And with the last chorus, we will sing in French. And Seigneur is Lord, and Sauveur is Savior.
All the birds
In 2009, I had a mini CD, 4 songs, 13 minutes, that played in Israel, and they will be for sale at the back, or the front, whatever that is over there, during the intermission.
They had a great big party down to Tom's the other night. Was I there? You bet. I ain't never in my life seen such a sight. All the folks from 4 plantations was invited. And they come trooping, thick as chillin' when they hears the fife and drum. Everybody dressed their finest. Head showing off and get away. Ain't seen such fancy dressing since last quarterly meeting day. Gals, all dressed in silks and satins, not a wrinkle nor a crease. Eyes are batting, teeth are shining, hair brushed back as thick as grease. Skirts all tucked and puffed and ruffled, every blessed seam and stitch. If you'd seen them if the misters couldn't have swear to which was which. Men all dressed up in Prince Alberts. Swallowtails will take your breath. I can't tell you nothing about it. You ought to have seen it for yourself. Who was there? Now, who are you asking? How you expect I gonna know? You must think I stood and counted everybody at the door. Old man Bubba's houseboy Isaac brung that gal, my Lindy Jane. Woo! Her a hanging to his elbow, him a strutting with a king. But Harvey Jones was jealous. Seemed to stick him like a thorn. But he laughed at Bonnie Carter, trying hard to not let on. A person would have noticed from the deck shift of his look that he was watching every step that Ike and Lindy took. Ike, he found a chair and asked her, "Won't you sit down?" with a smile. She answered up a bowing, "I reckon 'tain't worthwhile." That was just for style, I reckon, because she sat down just the same. And she stayed there till he come to fetch her for to join some sort of game. Then I hears her saying, proper, as she was to go away, "Oh, you really must excuse me, for I hardly cares to play." But I seen her in a minute with the others on the floor, and there wasn't any one of them a playing down anymore. Coming down the floor, a bowing, and a swaying, and a swinging, putting on her high-tone manners all the time that she was singing. Oh, swing Johnny up and down, swing him all around, swing Johnny up and down, swing him all around, swing Johnny up and down, swing him all around. Fare you well, my darling. I had to laugh at old man Johnson. Oh, he's a caution now, you bet, getting close under 100. But he's spry and nimble yet. He allowed, sort of giggling, I ain't old, I'll let you see. Ain't no use getting feeble now, you youngsters. Just watch me. And he grabbed old Aunt Mary. Weighs 300 more or less. And he spun her around the cabin swinging Johnny like the rest. Everybody laughed and hollered, go it! Swing on, Uncle Jim! And he swung her too, I reckon, like a youngster. Who but him? That was better than young Scott Thomas trying to be so awful smart. You know when he gets to singing and they get to that there part, and in some lady's new brick house, in some lady's garden, if you don't let me out, I will jump out, so fare you well, my darling. Then they's got to make a circle around you, you've got to break the line. Well, that doctor got so anxious, like to bust himself for trying. Kept running around and fooling. Till he gave one great big jump. Broke the line. And then himself head foremost to the fireplace, right plump. It had fire in it, mind you. Well, I thought my soul might bust. I tried to keep from laughing, but it seemed like die I must. Oh, you should have seen that man scramble from the ashes and the grime. Huh? Did it burn him? Such a question. Why, he didn't give it time. He threw them ashes and them cinders every which way, I guess, and you never did, I reckon, clap your eyes and sit your mess. For he surely made a picture of him, and a funny one to boot, with his clothes all full of ashes, and his face all full of soot. Well, it liked to stop the party. And I reckon like as not that it would, if Tom's wife Nandy hadn't happened on the spot to ask us out to supper. Well, we scrambled to the table. And I'd like to tell you about it, what we had, but I ain't able. Well, I'll mention just a few things. Though I know I had an order, for I know it will start a hankering and your mouth will mince to water. We had wheat bread, white as cotton, egg pone just like gold, hog joil boiling hot and steaming, roasted shoat, and ham sliced cold. Look out, what's the matter with you? Don't you be falling on the floor? If it's gonna fetch you that way, I ain't gonna tell you nothing more. There now. Well, we had hot chitlins. Now you's trying to get in the fall. Can't you stand to hear about it? Suppose you'd been and seed it all. See them great big sweet potatoes lying by the possum's side. See that cumin, all its gravy. then you up and down. Mammy loud, y'all must excuse me, there wasn't much upon my shelves, but I's done my best to suit you, so sit down and help yourselves. Tom, he loud, I don't believe in apologizing and confessing. Let him take it like did catch it. Elder Thompson, ask the blessing. Wish you could have seen that colored preacher clear his throat and bow his head, one eye shut and one eye open. This here's every word he said. Lord, look down in tender mercy on such generous hearts as these. Make us truly thankful. Amen. Pass that possum, if you please. Well, we had to drink our potion till there wasn't nothing left. We felt just like new sausage. We was most nigh stuffed to death. Tom, he knew how we'd be feeling, so he had the fiddler around. And he made us clear that cabin for to dance that supper down. Jim, fiddler, tuned his fiddle, put some rosin on his bow, set a pine box on the table, mounted it, and let her go. He's a fiddler now, I tell you. And he made that fiddle ring till the oldest and the lamest had to give their feet a fling. Jigs, cotillions, reels and breakdowns, chord drills, and a waltz or two. Bless your soul, that music winged them. Them people like the flute. Crippled Joe, the old rheumatic, danced that floor from side to middle. Threw away his crutch and hopped it. What's rheumatic against a fiddle? Elder Thompson got so tickled like to lose his grace. Had to take both feet and hold them so as to keep them in their place. And the Christians and the singers got so mixed up on that floor that I don't see how they departed if the trumpet chanced to blow. Well, we danced that way and capered in the most ridiculous way till the roosters in the barnyard cleared their throats and crowed for day. You ought to have been there, for I tell you, everything was rich and prime. There ain't no use talking. We just had one scrumptious time.
Thank you, AJ. So before we take our 15-minute intermission, I'd like to invite Corinne Corfield up on stage. She's going to tell us the reason for this fundraiser and what the Island Crisis Care Society is all about. So welcome, Corey Corfield.
Thank you so much for being here this evening. I hope you're all enjoying the performances. We really love it when groups come together and do events like this in support of Island Crisis Care Society. So my name is Corey Corfield, as was mentioned. I have the privilege of being the Resource Development Coordinator for Island Crisis Care Society. I'm pretty new to the role, but it's a great organization doing a lot of great work in the city, so I'm really privileged and blessed to be part of it. So I was asked to share a little bit about what we do with you this evening and talk about the importance of this event and raising money for what we're doing. So I've got the first slide up here. Our mission at ICCS, or Island Crisis Care Society, is to provide shelter and care for those in need, reflecting the love of God and loving one another. So for those who don't know, since 1985, Island Crisis Care Society has operated several programs within Nanaimo and Oceanside to support those in need. We have supportive housing, recovery beds, sobering centers, outreach, and of course the Samaritan House Women's Shelter. Throughout the years, the need for our services has continued to grow, and the demands placed on our little shelter have taken their toll. We can move to the next slide. Just some photos from inside our shelter. So funds raised tonight, we can move to the next slide there, will support our More Room for Hope campaign to expand Samaritan House. This is a really important campaign. The building, we saw the pictures before, it's about 100 years old. We have 20 beds, bunk beds in that building. And it's not the most inviting place to be, but our staff works really, really hard to make it a place of hope and dignity for the residents that come and stay with us. So if we move to the next slide, I asked one of my coworkers who's here this evening, Debbie, to give me some of our numbers over the last few months. And so you can see we've got our occupancy rates, and we've got our number of clients and the number of new clients, and even a figure that's been really alarming to us lately is our number of older clients, so women aged 55 plus who have been staying with us at the shelter, and those numbers keep going up. But when we look behind the numbers, every statistic that we see up here tells a story, and each story represents a life. When we look at the 10 clients who came to us in February, who were over the age of 55, we know that one of those women was over 80 years of age. And she rested her weary bones with us in a bunk bed. And we see in other months where our occupancy was over 100%. There's a couple months up there. People say, how can that even be possible? We realize that what that represents are the nights when, rather than turning someone away from a full house, our staff laid down a sleeping mat wherever they could find a space and invited a woman in from the cold. We recognize all the new clients, and the numbers there, as women who somehow unexpectedly found themselves without a place to call home and turn to us. Or women who have been on the streets for ages and have finally decided to take the first tiny step towards hope. So, do I have another slide there? I'm not sure. Maybe not. We can just leave it up there for now. So as Island Crisis Care Society, when we follow our mission to reflect the love of God in loving one another, we see value in each and every life represented by those numbers. And these are the most vulnerable in our community. So as we raise money through events like this to support our campaign, we are truly holding more room for hope. The ability to share hope and dignity and value with every precious person who comes to us. So on behalf of everyone at ICCS, our staff, our volunteers, and of course our clients, thank you sincerely for helping us create more room for hope in Nanaimo just by being here. I have some more information out front. I'd love to chat with you in the intermission, but I just wanted to express my sincere thank you.
So we'll start our 15-minute intermission now. So there's drinks and there's snacks out in the hallway there. So thank you.